So, within this bike life, there are a lot of different hats someone can wear. Some of us are true mile crushers, prioritizing the bike trips over everything else. Some of us are content creators, whether that be through the format of moving image or through a podcast. Some of us are true artists, taking the time to create jaw-dropping paint jobs. Some of us are bike builders, turning a wrench and firing up a torch to make custom dreams into a reality. Some of us are photographers, taking the time to use a single image to tell an entire story of the road. And some of us are event planners, taking the time to build out and plan special events to bring the riding community together. Rarely, very rarely, do we find someone who wears every single one of the aforementioned hats. And this, my friends, is none other than the Fast Life Garage. My introduction to Jace came in the form of a helmet over 7 years ago. A good friend of mine rolled up to the local bike night here in New York City with a Simpson helmet that was like nothing any of us had ever seen before. A helmet that truly belonged on display in a museum rather than on someone's head. Not too long after this, upon my Dina breaking down in Milwaukee and having some spare time, Tommy Donnelly from Texas would take me outside to show me an FXR with paint that was worlds apart from most. Refined, clean, and just enough to truly set it apart from everything else. As he then took me inside to show me his collection of Simpson helmets, I knew I had to meet the man behind these fantastic paint jobs. So by chance, 3 years later, I would finally cross paths with Jace from the Fast Life Garage. It turns out he had made the trek to my hometown here in Brooklyn to attend hands down our biggest and most renowned event, the Indian Larry Block Party. Between Jace's bike builds and hundreds of immaculate paint jobs that he had completed, I knew I was standing before a colossal presence and name within this bike life. The thing that was most notable is that rather than using a single breath to talk about anything that he had going on, he took his time to soak up the culture of what we had going on out here in Brooklyn on that crisp September day. There was really nothing special about my Dina at this point in time, and my YouTube content was probably mediocre to say the least. So I couldn't believe when Jace not only knew who I was from my many previous bike trips, but actually expressed interest in having me on his podcast, which had become pretty popular at this point. From the combination of seeing Jace's work over the years, as well as getting to experience how truly humble and authentic of a rider he was, when it came time to take my Dina Lowrider S to the next level, I knew for that job there was one and only one man. I gave him a simple and brief description of what I wanted. Birch white base, black flames, gold pinstripe, and the rest was history. Jace set my bike on fire like I knew only he could, and this single paint job would quickly become synonymous with my identity as a rider. A paint job that would go on to be imitated by some, but duplicated by none. Fast forward 4 years since crossing paths with Jace in Brooklyn, and here I am, sitting in Deadwood during the Sturgis motorcycle rally alongside my brother, Vongasphalt, and none other than Jace himself. Sipping some coffee and preparing to get some miles in and eventually record a podcast together later on that day. We got to discuss a lot of things ranging from the philosophy and ethos of 3 mile crushers grounding in the sport touring world to FXR builds to the life of a content creator. But before we sat down to do this podcast, I did have the opportunity to shoot a full profile video on both Jace and his newest FXR chopper build that he had. So, without further ado, with excitement and honor, I bring you Jace from the Fast Life Garage.
All right, what's up, guys? My name is Jace. I'm from the Fast Life Garage out of Dallas, Texas, and we're here in South Dakota, Deadwood to be exact. This is my 1984 FXR. The idea for this bike came from a lot of other men before me who had built some pretty similar machines that are very inspiring. Scott from Frisco, California had the famous Frisco Chopper FXR that was done back in 2012. That was a big motivation. Another guy, Al Emerson, out of I think it's Sioux City, Iowa. Badass chopper builder. really nice bikes. Seeing their bikes made me want to have something like this and dip my toe into the chopper world without fully committing to a hardtail and other type of, machines like that. I wanted to be able to have all the comforts of a modern motorcycle, but with the aesthetics of what I would say a chopper looks like. In a world of very modern and very smooth operating, very perfect motorcycles that come from Harley Davidson, it's nice to have something very mechanical and very crude almost, that gives you feedback with the throttle, that gives you feedback with the altitude changes, that there's so much more that you feel on a motorcycle like this, and it's not for everybody, but me personally, it just keeps me grounded to what Harley Davidson is, in my opinion. And yeah, it's my ass hurts. It's not as comfortable as a new bike, but that's part of the process. So last year while we were building this bike, I really wanted to do something special and memorable on it. This bike is completely made from a lot of friends that came together to help me bring the parts together. Corey from Main Drive, huge part of this build, doing all the fabrication work for me. I wanted to do something special to honor all the people that helped me do this bike, and this is the first motorcycle I've ever built that will completely stay with me for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to do something like this trip, which is the biggest trip I've ever done personally. Traveling from Dallas to California, up the coast, across the country to New York, and then turning around and going straight back to Sturgis, which is where we're at now, before I head back to Dallas. So pretty aggressive, but I wanted to do something memorable. Well, on an FXR, it's pretty much just like a Dina, but I wanted to live off of a sissy bar, essentially. I wanted to be able to pack out what I need to take for this long run just in a bag that's going on my sissy bar. So it takes a lot of thought. Anybody that takes their first trip, you start realizing really quickly what you don't need. If you haven't touched it in 3 days, you don't need it. So, slimming down the pack, getting exactly what you need for the trip. I brought all my camera gear with me to capture this trip through photographs and video and things like that. And yeah, I would say rain suit's really important. 7 days worth of underwear and socks, 3 days worth of clothes, because you can wear it again. And then just hit a laundromat, or stop at Walmart and buy a new pack of underwear, pack of t-shirts, and keep it moving down the road. Well, the twin cam swap was it's just more for reliability. This is from a 2014 Street Glide, and essentially if I have any problems with this motor anywhere in America, I can find parts for it. I can even find a replacement motor on any marketplace, on Facebook, anywhere in this country. So Evo is definitely, I have a FXR with the Evo on it that will stay in it, so it's a good feeling on that one. But I mean, if it fits, why not? It's a great power plant. It doesn't leak oil anywhere. You don't have to worry about base gaskets going out quickly. Like I said, you can find parts for this thing at any dealership in America. The Fast Life Garage is like an umbrella to all the things that I like to involve myself in. We started as a custom paint shop. We have built many bikes over the last 20 years. We have a podcast that's very successful for us, at least, the Fast Life Podcast. We've done a camp out where we bring people together in America for the last 7 years. We do a bike night every week in Dallas, Texas, called T-Bar Tuesday. Yeah, the brand's about community and artistic expression through customization in motorcycles or photography or art in general, and bringing people together. You know what I mean? Like sharing stories on the podcast, encouraging people to get out and ride and embrace the sucky parts of the journey, to enjoy those sunsets. You know what I mean? To enjoy camaraderie with friends on bikes from all over the country. I mean, I think the fast life in general, if I had to give my take on what it meant to me, it's just about getting out and doing it, getting out, experiencing things while you can, while you're healthy, while you're able-bodied, just don't waste any time, you know what I mean? So, well, if you're gonna come to Texas, one of the great things about, say, coming where we're at in Dallas is, we have like a little miniature city compared to New York, but it's great city riding, great great lights on the buildings, great vibe. We got good people in Texas. That's the main thing. There's some good roads, but it's all based on how, like, what your taste is. But we have a little bit of everything. We have the desert, we have mountains, we have plains, we have cities, we have hills, rivers. We got just about everything the country has to offer in one state. So, future plans, just trying to continue to do what I do and make enough money to continue to do what I do. Definitely want to say thank you to my wife for letting me be gone from the house for 8 weeks. All my friends who have supported the brand and supported me over these years, and you know, I literally spend the whole time just naming out people. So all of you guys, thank you. And it's everybody that, you know, digs what we try to do with the community. So I appreciate everybody listening to the podcast, inquiring about paint, wanting us to photograph, you know, anything. It's all appreciated. So thank you.
So that's really all we have for this one. As someone who has cut their teeth within the sport touring world, pushing bikes to do 8,000 plus mile bike trips that were not designed to do so, I had an absolute blast getting to ride and talk to Jace, who has taken this to another level on his FXR chopper. I want to take a moment to once again thank him for putting the time and energy into my Dina, which would simply not be the bike that it's become without his flames. Stay tuned for our podcast together and everything that he's got going on, from future podcasts and videos to a full-length photo book documenting his coast-to-coast trip on his FXR. So that's all for this one. Thanks again for checking it out. Keep that PMA, crush miles, and invest in custom paint jobs. FXDLS Brooklyn and the Fast Life Garage is out.